Hey, everybody. How are you doing? It's me again, your old buddy, pal, your budski, Steve. Good to see you all here. A bunch of you, anyways. Let's see who we got in the chat. Susie Lopez, she's back to her old self, being the first in the chat. I don't know if she's actually here. Usually probably does that like 5 hours before and then never makes her way back, but that's okay. But Susie Lopez says hi. Stephen Chang, hey, thanks. Here a little bit early. There's nothing wrong with being a bit early. I started this a tad early tonight as well, so there you go. Michelle Blasky, hey, Michelle, excited for the trailer. Third channel coming up. We'll talk about that a little bit too. Aaron, hey, Aaron, how you doing, man? I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name. I'm going to butcher it, so we'll say Aaron W, because I just know I'll butcher it. I know if I tried. No. Not even going to try. Kimberly from Macabrish calls in Classic Horrors podcast. I'm going to be on the podcast on Sunday. I'm sure you're not airing it on Sunday, but that'll be fun. Be lots of fun. And our other podcast friend, John from Behind the Fiends. Hey, how you doing, man? Glad you're here. Chasing a Dream, what's up? Ash and Jackal, hello, what's up? Glad it's been a while since we've had you in the chat as well. But very cool things, of course. The film has dropped. It's been nearly a week. It'll be a week tomorrow. I think we're coming close to 12,000 views, which is awesome. That is so awesome. And I am just ecstatic about it. What can I say more than that? I wasn't expecting the reactions that we've had. It's not a perfect film. I'm not going to criticize my film at this point. I am planning to do that at some point, though. I am planning to tell you guys kind of the things that I don't really like about it, and coming from a perspective of what my vision really was, and the fact that I probably needed a lot more capital to make my real vision work. But you know what? We got the story across, and I think that's important. I think that shows too, because the early reactions, the early reviews, very, very positive. Yes, we've had a couple of trolls. You're not popular if you don't got trolls. and anybody who's reached out and said, don't worry about the troll. Hey, the trolls don't get to me. I just want to make sure you guys understand that I am pretty used to the trolls by now. And it kind of excites me that we got some trolls. It just confirms that the film is a success if you got trolls. It's basically it. It confirms the success that the film is having. I'm positive we can get our film to like 100,000 views at some point. I'm not sure. By the end of the year, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But no, I am definitely very, very happy with the early reactions. So thank you all so much. Some of you have watched it multiple times. Aaron even said that he just finished watching it for a second time. I think Amy Crabtree said she's seen it like 5 times now. So very cool. Anybody else new join the chat? Doesn't look like it. All good. And save your questions. Try to save your questions to the end. I will try to go back in the chat to try to read your questions, but there's try to save them towards the end, because I got a lot to go over here. I will do my shout outs though. I don't like to forget my shout outs. I have missed them a couple times, but our old friend Michelle, who we haven't really seen very much over the last while, she is a hard-working gal. She has seen the movie though, and she has her company called Breathless Beauties, where she makes these custom horror-themed dolls. I really, really love her dolls. I think they're so cool. She sent me one. I don't have it on display anymore. I really got to put it back up on display. We've kind of moved stuff around so much. There's our old pal Leatherface. And the other Michelle who's in the chat tonight, Michelle Blasky. Oh, yeah. She has her obscure art that she does. I'm sure Michelle can explain even better to you what her style is. But I love it. This one's my favorite. Leatherface here is pretty cool, though, too. And speaking of Michelle Blasky, who's in the chat, of course, we have got the third channel coming up very soon. She's got a new trailer and a new Indiegogo campaign she's going to be dropping very, very soon. A finishing funds campaign. They have filmed the movie. Maybe she needs some pickup shots or something like that. I'm not sure, but they're going to do a finishing funds campaign in order to make sure that she's not going broke. Probably that's basically why we do these things. Is we know we spend way too much money when we film. I know I overspent on mine. I didn't have a lot of choice. A lot of bad stuff was against us when we filmed. But we did keep the overspending to a minimal, though. Just a minimal. Fangoria Faithful. Doug New York is here as well. Oh, my God. We're getting a lot of people in the chat here. Doug New York is in the chat. Hey, man. He's actually one of our associate producers. Fangoria Faithful, who did all of our awesome artwork, designed our logo and everything, and the Third Channel's artwork as well, just so you guys know. And it looks like we have Rob Mahoney from Mahoney Massacre, who's another one of our associate producers. Oh, Ashy Jackal's asking, where do I watch it? Somebody dropped the link for Ashen. You might not want to watch this tonight then. You might not want, if you haven't seen the Sawyer Massacre, you might not want to watch this because I am going to be going heavily into spoilers. It's in the description that I will be going into spoilers. Let me see if I can just send it to you. I can do that. Perfect. And you can check that out at your convenience, and then just come back and rewatch this another time. You will see, because Ashen Jackal, is it Leo? I can't remember your name now. Damn it. I think it's Leo, but I could be wrong. There you go. Yeah, there's the link there. He saw First Annual Barbecue, my first Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan film. You will see some similarities. You will see some similarities in the story. We'll say that. Some minor similarities. You'll see similar character names. Yes, it was Leo. I thought it was Leo. I'm like, ugh. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right. I hope it is Leo. There you go. But there's the link. Watch that and come back and check the rest of this out. There you go. And hopefully we'll have answered any questions. And there's the Drayton Sawyer is in as well. Jared, the Drayton Sawyer. Speaking of which, we'll talk about Drayton Sawyer a little bit. We did a slightly different take on Drayton in our film. I don't know if it's what you guys were expecting, but it's what I did. And, I think some people will like what I did with Drayton. Some people might not like what we did with Drayton because it is a little bit removed from what we knew from Drayton from the original. You like Drayton, good. The Drayton Sawyer liked Drayton. So actually, most of the responses to Drayton have actually been quite positive. I've heard one or two people say, it's not what I would have expected for Drayton. But keep this in mind. I actually, writing the character of Drayton, I actually referred to his character description in the original script. He was one I really referred to because I wanted to really get a sense of how this person got to the way he was in the original. And the description really wrote him as a tired older man who's kind of tired of fighting what life has thrown at him. He's tired of fighting it. And that kind of spoke to me. It's not worded like that exactly, but that's how I kind of remember it. It was a while ago since I actually read that. But reading that, it really kind of made me think that maybe this guy had a... Excuse me. I can't get over this darn cough. I don't know. I keep thinking I have asthma or something, but my doctor tells me no. Whatever. Where was I? I had a good point. I had a pretty good point. And now I lost it. I had a thought, and now it's gone. But anyways, I do know what I was talking about. Drayton Sawyer. how he became that way, and the sense I got from the original script that he may have had a conscience at some point, and it's just got to that point in his life where he just can't fight his family. Now, whether or not that has anything to do with Rex, I kind of leaned on Rex a little bit. In the original draft of this, in actually the final draft of the script, I should say, it was actually the cast and crew that kind of convinced me to change this. But in the script, Rex is dead. Rex gets killed by Jimmy. You don't see it happen. You just see Jimmy pull out the piece of glass, and when Jimmy and Allison are running upstairs, they run past Rex's dead body, and he's dead. He's got a piece of glass sticking out of his neck. That was what was in the script. Now, William Instone, who played Rex, maybe he just liked the character too much, but he was like, "No, you gotta not. Don't tell us we're gonna kill Rex. We can't kill Rex. Not like for sure kill Rex. Maybe imply it, but that he could. But anyways." Rex could be alive. He might not be alive. There you go. I hope that it kind of explains that a bit. But, again, as far as Drayton goes, I kind of like that angle. I like this kind of power struggle. It kind of makes sense that Drayton would want to have some sort of control over the family, and Rex is stopping this from him. It's an interesting angle, and I really liked that dynamic of the two characters. Now, was it original like that? When you watch First Annual Barbecue, you'll see a totally different dynamic. Because Rex is in there too. Rex, and we refer to Drayton as Brayton in First Annual Barbecue, because we were trying to avoid names. I don't know why we bothered changing Drayton to Brayton. I look back at it in hindsight, I'm like, why did we do that? Why did we really do that? We didn't really need to do that. Anyways. He turns bad though, and hits Sally with that broom. Yeah, it didn't look too real. It did look real, but yeah, a lot of people liking Rex so far, so that's good. Not everybody likes Rex. There's a few people that don't like Rex, I guess, because he's not a Sawyer character that we've seen before. He's my own Sawyer character. He is a Sawyer, though. If you guys are wondering if Rex is supposed to be a Sawyer, he is. He's supposed to be the oldest brother. He's the organizer of the family. If that all makes sense, he's the one that kind of keeps things together. Which, Rex isn't around in the original. Who's to say he's not around, but he's just not there? We don't know. There's a lot of angles you could take with that, but. There is quite a bit of chaos in that original movie between family members, and, it does kind of feel like maybe Rex had control of this, and then, wherever he went, things took a dive. So I think that's a big thing to kind of consider. A lot of ways you can go with it, though. A lot of ways. Okay, so what I want to get into next, this kind of thing I want to spend a bit of time on, as far as the film goes, is the ending. All right, so the ending of the movie, if you've only seen it once, you might not catch a lot of this stuff. If you've seen it twice or three times, you might make the connections on a lot of the stuff that I'm about to say. So it ends on this wonderful shot of Nika, Allison, played by Nika Lowe, actually. Oh, man, I'm going to mess that up from now on. I used to think it was Lau, and then I thought it was Lou, and now it's actually Lowe. I've been told. Ends on this wonderful shot with the sound of my baby boy's screams. After the chainsaw kind of fades into my baby's screams, and that's how it ends. So. What does that all mean? Well, why don't you drop your theories in the comments? Oh, and we got a new... Oh, sorry, guys.
Here we are, boys.
Have that lined up for when I go over certain scenes. Got a new chatter in here. Mr. Nanners just want to say, enjoyed your movie. Very well done. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. I'm going to go into a lot of depth about it today. So... What does that ending mean? What does that end? It is a little bit ambiguous, but the obvious thing, we're trying to imply something here. We're trying to imply something, something big. Well, I don't know if you really necessarily call it big, but what are we trying to imply? Let's see if you guys know what we're trying to imply. Movie fan, hey, Steve, besides the tooth, was the real bones used? Yes, they were real animal bones, though, rather than real human bones. The only real human bone was the tooth, just with the one tooth, and that was the tooth that belonged to our production designer, Christina Hinton, who had her tooth pulled a couple weeks before we shot, I think, 2 or 3 weeks before we shot. She's like, I'm saving this tooth so we can use it in the movie. And we did. Great actors and actresses. I can't wait for a sequel. She's going to make it big, I think. Nika. Okay, for sure. But yeah, Nika's last name is pronounced Nika Low. Low. I know it's spelt very different, and I actually thought it was Lou for the longest time. So there you go. Now I've been corrected. I know you were in Bastrop. Was the gas station involved? I wanted the gas station to be involved. They wouldn't let it be because the gas station is obviously in our film. Like there's a gas. It's supposed to be the same gas station, but I'm not sure why. But they were pretty adamant that they cannot have any films be shot there. Yeah, Roy Rose's gas station. I know it. Our production manager was really good friends with him too, but it was just not a possibility. I don't know if it's a legal thing or not. I have no idea. We had to use the gas station that we had to use, and it worked out okay. I think the gas station we used looked good. It doesn't look obviously it doesn't look exactly like the original. The gas station we used is actually in Taylor. But anyways, Drayton Sawyer says, I think the ending was showing her fate. She didn't make it out and became prisoner to the Sawyer family. Okay, that's part of it. What was the baby crying, though? What was the baby crying? What should that imply? What should the baby crying imply? Somebody's got to say this. Love the gas station. Yeah, you got to go to the gas station. It's actually an awesome place. I got to visit the gas station 2 or 3 times while I was there. It's a great place. I love it. But she was pregnant. She's pregnant with who? With what baby? Like she was pregnant already, or she got pregnant. I love this. Let somebody else. Leatherface has a son. Okay, good enough. Good enough. Leatherface. It's implied that Leatherface captures her and impregnates her. And you look at the look on her face. I just want to go back to that ending shot one more time. Look at the expression on her face. Now, I don't remember if I actually gave her a specific direction on this, because we were also, this was like the final, this was like maybe the third or fourth final shot that we were getting. Maybe even closer. Maybe you only maybe like the second last shot. I don't know. But son or daughter, and I'll actually talk about that in a little bit as well. But you look at the expression on her face in this scene, and it's that of two things. It's that of terror, of absolute terror, what she believes she knows is going to become of her, and acceptance at the same time. That she knows she has to, that she knows she doesn't have a choice. That she's gonna, this is her fate. She has to accept her fate because she is a strong person. Remember, we set up Allison to be a strong character, and we didn't set her up to be a strong character for the sake of being a strong character. We set her up because of that plot point. We set her up as a strong character because of that plot point, that the Sawyers need a strong character, and we'll get into that as well. Let's act all crazy and say she was pregnant with Grandpa's baby. You never know. That would be pretty. Hey, Anything's possible. I mean, it does kind of go into some of the other stuff I want to talk about, though, too. With Jordan's baby. So the main guy, hey. Now, who's to say that isn't possible? Who's to say that actually isn't possible? What if they did get away? What if they did? I want to actually just run because some of you might be saying, well, if they got away, the Sawyers would be caught. And I believe it was Aaron, actually, who messaged me about that earlier. I'm like, yeah, you'd think. But just remember this. When Allison and Jimmy were tied up in the second floor against the bed frame, the old bed frame, beautiful bed frame, by the way, pain in the ass to work with, but beautiful bed frame. When they're tied, she was like, we're going to Canada, right? We're going to forget this whole thing ever happened. We're going to go right to Canada. It was like that, If they did get away, you can kind of believe that they wouldn't go to the cops or anything. They would just drive straight to Canada and they would not look back. So you got to think a little bit like that too. That's like, we didn't just have Canada in there for the sake of Canada because I'm Canadian, but they want to go. They want to get the hell away from there. And Canada seemed right rather than Mexico. It just seemed, Mexico is obviously a lot closer, but Canada seemed like a very, and I'm from Canada. I'm from Western Canada, though, keep in mind, but very different from Texas. Is almost like they just want to get as far away, to a different type of atmosphere in Canada. Very much is that. And again, kind of goes hand in hand with Allison and she wants to travel different places. And Mexico just to me didn't seem like a different enough place, whereas Canada did. There you go. But again, it's supposed to be implied that she does get pregnant with Leatherface's baby. Man, it would be quite a gutsy sequel, though, to make and go the opposite route. Just imagine this. I mean, maybe I shouldn't tell you guys because maybe somebody will actually do this and it won't be as big a surprise. I don't know, but imagine you for a sequel, you show the ending of this movie, you have that baby cry, and then it cuts to Allison and Jimmy in the hospital, and the crying, is their baby being born? It would be like, what? Really? They, some people would rant though, probably anyways. I don't know. Hey, there's Jimmy Presley. How you doing, Jimmy? Glad you can make it. We're talking about the ending specifically right now. About the fate of Allison and Jimmy, I guess, but it's mostly kind of the fate of Allison because we're implying that Leatherface impregnates her, but it's implied. It's not a guaranteed thing. But I'm really hoping that at least 90 to 95% of the people would think that. Maybe there's that 5% of people out there that'd be like, oh, I think they probably went to Canada and had a baby. That's probably it. Steve, are you planning a sequel? Not really, no. I'm not, actually. A lot of people ask me that, though. I'll hold it on the questions for just a little bit because I want to kind of dive deeper into this ending and show you guys all the foreshadowing. There was foreshadowing of that ending in a lot of scenes. Not a lot of scenes. I didn't overdo it, but we were always kind of subtle with the delivery. So let's start with the first sort of subtle delivery, and that's the very end of that montage before we get into the news story, the radio news story told by the wonderful Bobby High. We got this shot here of Leatherface putting his hand on this woman's stomach, the woman that was just kind of lying there lifeless, whether she's dead or alive, we don't know for sure. But he's putting his hand on her stomach. What does that say to you? Why would he be putting his hand on her stomach? It is to foreshadow the ending. It truly is. This is meant to kind of foreshadow what the real motive of the Sawyers are in our film. Cannibalism takes a back seat in our film. It's there, obviously. We got Rex, and he's got his barbecue in the bag that he's given everyone, and it's his family's recipe. We have that. We have the cannibalism is not ignored. It's just not the main focus of our film. Whereas the need for the family to continue is important to them. I mean, I think a good question I've seen a lot of people ask about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was, where the heck is all the women in this family? We know that there was a grandma who probably died. And we saw her corpse. We think that was grandma. Anyway, it's said that it's grandma. I believe it's grandma. And we actually bring her up a little bit in our film, too. Just so you guys know. And I'll actually go into that scene. I'm going to play parts of the movie here for you guys. Because that shot kind of foreshadows basically what the plot of the movie really is. So next, I'm going to play for you guys the scene between Rex and Drayton, the first scene between that. I'm just going to go into the movie here. I should be able to scroll to that point. Hopefully, let me know if you guys can hear it, because I've never done it quite like this before, I don't think. Yeah, we've got all that. There we go.
Clean the windows.
Can you guys hear that? I can hear it on my end. Whoops. Oh, sorry. We want to back up just a bit here.
Clean the windows.
We'll just take it from here. That's Vitor Parkini, our production manager's son.
It's gone.
Lexi honestly had a good natural. She did. She had a great scream. But I do love Vitor here as basically the hitchhiker. I thought he was very good. Yes, there's already good. I can hear it on my end, but you never know if you can hear it on yours. I'm probably getting a bit of latency too. But let's look at this conversation between Drayton and Rex.
Rex? Get skipped away till next week, so I can't get your engine fixed.
Now there's
yet.
our first bit of foreshadowing right there. Can't get your engine fixed. We've established now that Rex's truck has got some engine problems. Ooh. That's foreshadowing right there. We did try. I mean, I tried to get our sound designer to put some like really bad backfiring sounds of the engine and everything. I mean, this truck was really supposed to look a lot more run down than it does, but we didn't have a lot of choices when it came to vehicles. According to you, Scarier, Halloween Ends, or Terrifier 2? I haven't seen either yet, to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. Haven't seen either. Anyways, let's play this again.
Well, what about Bobby High? He around?
It's Bobby High's name.
Shit. Got old then?
No, I just wouldn't drive it much.
I don't have much of a choice then, do I?
Okay, so this conversation here gets into a lot of the plot, but very, very subtle. It's very subtle. You have to be kind of really picking up on things.
Listen here. I'm running the store today.
Why?
Well, Papa Brackett's out of town, so I plan on taking care of things out
Okay,
there.
so there's our first
Now
mention
that's next
of
to the old
Brackett.
man's house.
Sorry, wrong one.
So
here.
what?
So this Brackett character owns this entire farmland, and he's gone. We don't know what happened to him, but there's some implications. We do kind of. It's actually one of the things we didn't execute as well as I really should have, or could have. Anyways, it's just I was really trying to set up that the first guy that enters the house at the very beginning of the opening montage is Brackett. So there's a lot of stuff with Brackett I wanted to get, but never could, unfortunately. That's the way she goes. But this is implying he's gone, but maybe he's dead. And this is like an opportunity for them.
Now, I want no part of what's going on down there.
Well,
Oh, have a good night,
got
Joe.
ourselves a little setback. That last one didn't make it, but maybe 5 months in.
All right, so that line right there, the last one didn't make it 5 months in. What is that saying? It is implying something pretty important. pretty important. But without spilling it, Exactly. So what do you guys think that means? I think we have a new chatter here. JXRX Massacre. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Going into details about the film. Little subtle stuff. So what does that mean? Last one didn't make it. 5 months in. What does that mean? Somebody in the I know I have latency here, so I probably won't see the answers coming for a good few more seconds. That's the one thing about StreamYard that's better. I mean, there's a couple other things that are better about StreamYard, but I don't know. I still like using OBS. I just like the software better. I can do this kind of stuff easier. That's for sure. You know, share screens and stuff like that. Anyways, anybody know what that means? What does that mean? Last one didn't make it. 5 months in. Pregnancy to extend the family. It does, yes, it touches on that. The lady didn't. The last lady they kidnapped, Leatherface puts his hand on the stomach like we just saw. She didn't make it. They lost the baby. They need somebody else. And Rex knows they need somebody else.
Hell.
Yeah. So now I gotta improvise. So whoever comes around, I'm taking.
So that's why a lot of this is
all
happening.
dried up here. There's nothing left, and it ain't ever gonna be the same. It all died with her.
All right there. Drayton says it all died with her. What do you guys think that could mean? Did it all die with the lady they impregnated? Because I always kind of viewed that as a possibility, but I'm actually really implying something else with that line. I'm really implying just because there's going to be lots of latency. I know there's going to be huge latency. Maybe the baby didn't make exactly. He got it. Just wish he kept both girls alive. Actually, it's a good point. It is a good point. Last-ditch effort from a distant relative. Yeah. I mean, essentially, it all died with her, meaning the last woman in the Sawyer clan has passed away, and there's no other women left to continue on the family line. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I've always made this connection that the family was probably inbreeding. And I'm sure a lot of people have made that connection too, that this was a family of inbreds. But that's no longer fully possible. So they have to find somebody just to keep the family lineage going. But the purity won't be quite there, right? The purity of that inbred family. So there's definitely a wish. We talked about Leatherface having a son or a daughter. What do you think Leatherface would want? What do you think Grandpa would want? The whole family. What do they want to have? A son or a daughter? Or both. Maybe they would want both. But what's more important? Because they want to purify their family tree. They want to get it repurified to the best they possibly can. So what's the most likely scenario? Latency sucks. Always want a boy, but to keep a breeder on hand. Wanting a boy, sure, but there's already so many boys in the family. So I mean, the thing is, they want a woman so that they want a girl so that Leatherface can keep the breeding going, and it'll get more pure. Even though that girl would only be 50% Sawyer, the next lineage after that, because Leatherface is 100% Sawyer, and the girl would be 50%. At least the next one would be 75%. And it's about trying to repurify that Sawyer name. Definitely something it's not really in the movie, but it's something I thought about. So. Twins would be great, wouldn't it? Twins would be great. But yeah, they want somebody. They want at least a somewhat half Sawyer to breed with, to rebuild the purification and keep the inbreeding alive. So, anyways, What streaming site can I watch it? On YouTube. We actually shared it earlier. I can share it again. Because you might not want to watch this because I'm spoiling it. I'm spoiling it big time. Spoiling a lot of things about the movie right now. But I will drop the link in here once again. There she is right there, folks. Watch. We want to hit, I'd like to hit 12,000 views by the end of the night if we can. I think we can. We're at 11,600 or something like that right now. It's pretty good. But let's get to 12,000 by the end of the night. Let's see if we can get 20,000 views by November. You think we can do that? I don't know. November's right around like Tuesday or something, right? So probably not, but it's possible. It's possible. It's only like 8,000 views away. But anyways, yes, it's about repurifying the family. And Drayton's basically saying we'll never be 100% purified because the last woman is gone. The last pure Sawyer woman is gone. Hey, Aaron, how you doing? Does that make sense? Okay, so that's why I really wanted to watch this scene. One more little thing that I do want to show, though, in this scene. One bit of dialogue right here. Right here, I think.
We just need one strong one.
We just need one strong one. Again, we talked about Allison being a strong one. So it's foreshadowing her. And that's all we really need to go over in this particular scene. Let's go further though. There's a subtle foreshadow. Go way further here. Go about further through all this stuff. Through all this stuff. Too far. Right about here, I think. No, just past it. Grandpa's first line to this lady.
Why don't you girls wait out here? It doesn't look real safe.
What does Grandpa say to this, to Dixie here? Dixie, played by the lovely Trish Powell.
Hello?
Hey, there's Carlos from the Lazy Reviewer.
Breaks for this.
Sorry, I'm missing all your guys' chats. If there's questions, I'll try to go back to them later after I explain all this stuff.
Hey, we gotta go. There's someone
What's
trying to...
happening?
Wait, hold on. Where's Jean? Is anybody in the house still?
Yeah, my husband isn't there.
Okay. Right here.
Too old.
Grandpa says too old. What's he referring to? That's a good observation, Stephen. Well, it didn't seem Ali's friends Ali's friend didn't have anyone, so who would miss her? There you go. The breeder. Is that what you mean by the too old? I kind of feel like you might be getting the right idea, but I'll explain it. I'd say her age. Stephen Chang is getting it here. Her age. It almost might sound like he's saying I'm too old, but and maybe that's what some people would interpret it at is like I'm too old to help you or something like that. I don't know, but she is too old for Leatherface to breed with. That's basically what it is. Too old to carry children, and probably not strong enough. There was supposed to be a lot more stuff that was implying like which women are strong enough in this movie, and ultimately pointing to Allison as the strong one. Yeah, too old. So good, you guys got that. And then of course the last thing that foreshadows, of course, I mean it's not even foreshadowing at this point. It's basically Allison finding out the truth. It's kind of the reveal without revealing too much. Without being too blunt, without spoon feeding you guys. This scene, this is our dinner table scene, essentially. I know it plays out very, very different from the original dinner table scene, but it's our dinner table scene.
He's out cold.
Poor Gene here, eh? Might need to fast forward just a little bit.
Yes.
I think I went too far there.
This virus.
No, still a little bit far.
He likes you.
What do you
Right, over
want?
here.
What do you want?
You're very strong.
Again, pointing back to the strong stuff.
Don't worry.
He knows how strong she is
You
now.
won't die
Why does he know how strong she is?
yet.
Well, because she escaped. She
Strong enough to
busted
make
through the ropes. She kicked Leatherface in the shins, and she was supposed. And again, in
You're
the script, you were
saving the
supposed to see her
family.
do more struggling against Leatherface and being very, very strong. But there was only so much we can do. So that's
Very
pretty.
strong.
Pretty on the nose. I think it's fairly on the nose. You're saving the family, strong enough to make it. She'll carry well. I think that all really implies it, but doesn't fully say it. Again, I know there's going to be some people out there that don't get it. I totally understand that some people need stuff spoon fed to them. Grandpa should have just said, Leatherface is going to impregnate you and you're going to carry his baby. There's not a lot of filmmakers that would actually do that, though. Some would. Some would. But not this one. I like subtlety. I try to be there's a fine line. There's a fine line. I feel like we got the right amount of subtlety in there. I have been too subtle in the past. I feel like I've learned from being too subtle. So hopefully this is not too subtle for you guys. Hopefully it says enough. It says it without saying it. That's the idea. Hopefully it says it without saying it. So I hope that all makes sense to you guys. What we're implying as far as the ending goes. I feel like we did that pretty well, but again, there are a few people who are like, I didn't get that ending, or and that's okay. And some people have to have a definitive ending. They have to know for sure what happened, and I get that. I just, did you really want to see poor Allison get hacked up or something like that? I don't know. I personally liked a little bit of ambiguity there. Originally, I wrote the ending without the baby scream. That was originally how it didn't have the baby scream. And then I thought about the baby scream, and I still didn't add it to the script. I thought about it, though. I said to myself, that's too definitive, I said to myself. It's too definitive. And I can't remember, I was watching some sort of documentary on babies screaming in movies and how they can subtly imply so many different things. And while I was watching this documentary, it just said, it's like it spoke to me. It said, Steve, you got to add that baby scream at the end. And so I did. And, I made that connection that there is still there is more than one definitive answer. Because I love the ambiguity. I always want to make I want to make a lot of my stuff very ambiguous. What is the actual fate of our protagonists? Protagonists in this particular case. I mean, Jimmy is really the main protagonist, but Allison is, she really is a pretty strong female lead. Definitely, for sure. There we go. So that takes care of that. Now I want to discuss something you guys probably have no idea about. You guys probably have zero idea. Leatherface wears 4 different masks in our film. Maybe you caught that. I've heard some people say, I think he only wore 1. That's not true. I know that 3 of them kind of look similar-ish because they're made by the same SFX artist. But 1 looks quite a bit different, and we'll get into that and why it looks quite a bit different than the other ones. But Leatherface wears 4 masks, and we didn't just have him wear 4 masks for the sake of wearing 4 masks. It's to bring back. It really is to bring back the original intention of Leatherface, of him taking on different personalities every time he puts on a different mask, which was very heavily suggested in the original film. It's it's subtle, guys. It is subtle. Leatherface, you know, but this is something that gets missed in so many of the sequels. The only sequel that ever touched on it at all was Next Generation, and not very well. We'll say that it was kind of it basically repeated what the original did. You know, he had the killer. He was the killer when he wore that first mask, and then he was the old lady, and then he was the pretty lady. You know, right? So it's the same idea. Whereas ours, I went a different route. But it's still the same principle. He's taking on a personality. He's taking on different personalities. So I'm going to discuss each one. And another thing to keep in mind, and this is where execution is not quite the best. I'll be honest, the execution's not the best here. It was mostly because our SFX artist had a month to do those masks in. But every single mask is based on a character in the film, is meant to be a character that was in the film. Okay? So let's look at mask 1 and who the character was. Okay, so the first mask is this lovely man who is played by Michael McGlynn. The man that comes in, he's holding a document. He is implied to be Brackett, this Brackett character. Again, I wanted to have a lot of more context behind this Brackett character, but it was meant to be discussed more through Dixie. Dixie talked about him briefly, but I wanted to have her basically talk about Brackett as a really bad guy, a real who shot a boy once for going on his property, and make him out like he's a bit of a killer. So this is actually kind of implied to be like an early version before, you know, it got totally leatherfied or whatever you want to call it, of the Killing Mask from the original. It's not set in stone, but it's meant to kind of have that same feel as that mask, and you could see that maybe it eventually turned into that mask. Maybe eventually the mouth kind of rolled back and he put the bars on it and it got all leathery and stuff like that. So that was his idea when he was putting on this face, is that he knows that this guy's a bad dude, and even though it doesn't really show in the film, that was the implication behind this face. Brackett was a not so nice man, killed a kid for going on his property. Again, I do really wish I did have that dialogue in there for Dixie. That would have helped it a lot more. But, you know, there was only so much we could have. We really rushed all of Dixie's stuff. We rushed it. We cut out some of it because it just wasn't fitting, and we had to shoot it all in one day. It was tough. So there's a lot we didn't execute, and unfortunately, the Leatherface personalities was not quite. Yeah, that's Michael McGlynn. You had no idea that was Michael McGlynn, huh, Michelle? Michael McGlynn is awesome. If you guys don't know who Michael McGlynn is, he's a producer over at Slasher 15 Productions. He's been a massive supporter of our film. All-around wonderful guy. That's all I can say. And yeah, this was not a mold of Michael's face. This was actually sculpted by my SFX artist that I use here in Canada, because I wanted to get her in the film in some way, and so we didn't have the ability to life cast Michael McGlynn, so I thought it'd be pretty cool if she could kind of just do a sculpt on his face, and I think she did a pretty darn good job. You know, this one is supposed to look a little bit more aged than the other ones, like maybe a few days old. It's not like aged like it would have been in the original, though. Not quite like that. So that is the first face that Leatherface wears, and that was sort of the purpose behind it and the character that he was taking on as a bit of a butcher. Let's move on to Face 2. Face 2, which character do you guys think is Face 2? Well, there's latency. I'm not going to wait for the latency. So Face 2 was actually Bob, played by our producer, Josh Skurnick. He was a producer. He was our Austin producer, basically. He got us a lot of gear that we needed, a lot of extra sound gear, labs and stuff like that. And yeah, he was an awesome guy. He played Bob, and this face was actually a life cast of his face. You can see the similarities for sure, but again, I don't think our SFX artist really had enough time to really dial it in. If you guys don't know the story, we had, I mean, I hired an SFX artist like 2 years ago, and she bailed on us a month before production, and I had to find somebody damn quick to do this. And yeah, so I mean, that was the way she goes, and I kudos to Sergio for taking this job on of all the life casting he had to do and making these faces look as close as he possibly could to the actors' faces. But man, oh man, it was tough. So Bob, and again, I wanted to imply this more so with the face rather than so much the characteristics, but Bob is slightly characterized more so as a bit of a jokester, a prankster. He kind of says something kind of jokingly at the very beginning. While Olivia's going down the stairs to meet her doom, she's saying, "Enough of your jokes, Bob." So we're subtly implying that he likes to play some jokes. And so the idea with Leatherface wearing that face, especially after hearing that dialogue, is that he's going to have fun with his victims. He's going to play a little bit of a joke. Now, one thing I wish I did is I wish I had him teasing the three guys a little bit more in the house beforehand, before they came face to face with him. It's something I thought about, but logistically, we had to stick to the script because I mean we had no time to shoot all this stuff. I would have liked it though. If I had more days to shoot, I probably would have done that. It would have added some suspense, I think, too. To say what was that? Who's that? Let's and you get glimpses of Leatherface while he's toying with them. I think that would have been great, and it would have even helped again to set that whole aspect of him up. He's teasing his victims. He's playing a joke on them, and then he plays the ultimate joke on Brant by cutting off his face. And that brings us actually to our next face, which is supposed to be Brant's face. I don't see any similarities whatsoever. Believe it or not, this is a life cast of Jordan Fortes. And I feel bad for Jordan, actually, because he actually got life cast twice. He got life cast twice. He got life cast by our original SFX artist, and then she was never heard from again after she quit. I kept trying to get the life cast off of her, and she wouldn't respond. So Sergio drove all the way up to damn near Dallas from San Antonio just to life cast Jordan again. And pain in the ass, I know. But man, I gotta say, this one, it's a creepy looking mask, but man, I don't see Jordan in that. But I think this it's cool though. The implication here, the irony is, Leatherface puts on his face before he kills him. I think that's really cool because earlier in the script, Jordan said, if anything ever happened to this face, I'd probably kill myself. So it's kind of ironic that way. It's like he's watching himself kill himself. It's kind of, I think it's kind of a neat thing. But anyways, that was sort of the idea behind that script, behind that mask, I should say. It is supposed to be Jordan Fortes. It is supposed to be Brant's face. That's the furthest removed of all the characters, that's for sure. I really have a hard time seeing it in that character, but it is what it is. That was the idea behind it. The last one is probably the closest we got in getting what we truly want, and that is this is actually two people. This is the face of Patrick Lescarbo, who played Henry, and you can see the similarities in his face. I can definitely see enough similarities, and we also have the cut on his mouth. But when he cuts himself getting thrown down the stairs, and you see that when he's getting killed. So we're consistent with that. And it's supposed to be the hair of Marielle, and that was where we were a little bit off. I'll tell you why we were off on that, because I had told Sergio to make the hair curly, because the plan was to give her a curlier hair style on set, a very 60s curly hairstyle. But again, this was another actress that was only available one day. Jenny De La Fuente was great, but her stuff got, she didn't get all of the stuff in there that she was supposed to be in, because she only had one day of filming, and doing her hair was kind of impossible because it was super windy that day, and we never really got the curls in her hair like we had actually wanted to. But that's the idea, and the reason why Leatherface is wearing this, both his face and her hair, these are the parents of the kids, of the two girls. And this is Leatherface saying, I think I might have found the one to impregnate, and I'm going to take on this parental figure. So this was Leatherface taking on a parental figure. So from that point on, he wears that face because he's because that's the goal, is for him to be a parent. And this was the face and hair of parents, of loving parents. They loved their kids, and you could see that they both tried to protect them when things were going wrong. And I think Leatherface saw that and that, said that, hey, I'm a protector. I'm that. That's who I am. My favorite mask of the film. Oh, cool. I mean, everybody's got their favorite masks of the film. I know Scotty's was actually the first one. Michael McGlynn's face. So I hope that all makes sense, and so that you guys can understand that we did want to have those personalities to Leatherface, and I think they do show, but they're subtle, right? When you look at it may make you look at the film a little differently now. They're not just 4 masks for the sake of wearing 4 masks. That wouldn't make sense to me. I mean, it's as cool as it might be. It's not the reason why Leatherface wore 3 masks in the original. He wore them to take on personalities, and that's the idea here. He's taking on different personalities because that's who he is. Because he's void of personality without them. He doesn't have personality without them, and that was what I always heard. I heard Gunnar talk about that quite a lot in interviews. I think I heard Toby talk about it in an interview as well. They're both gone now, but I hope that they're looking down saying, you got the right idea, Steve. Because none of these other films have got that. Again, other than Next Generation, but, it was basically a rehash of what they did in the original. So put a different spin on it. I put a slightly different spin on it. I think that... I think it's a really cool element. I do kind of wish that the faces looked more like the actors' faces a little bit more, other than Michael McGlynn's, because it is supposed to be aging a bit. And you know what? I feel like I can see Michael McGlynn's face in there just as much as those other ones anyways. But anyways, there you go. Anyways, there you go. I hope that all makes sense. I hope that this kind of information actually makes you appreciate the film more. I really hope it does, because some people might think that, just four cool, and some people might think, that's awesome. He wears all these different masks, very cool. But and not care for the reasoning why, and that's fine too. Those masks are made out of silicone or latex. 3 of them are silicone. The Michael McGlynn one is actually latex. But yes, those are silicone. They're not cheap. Even the latex one is still not cheap. That was still expensive. But the silicone ones were more expensive, we'll say that. But we sold them all. Didn't really make a real profit on them, but I made a little bit of profit on them, just a smidgen. But not as much as I would have liked. But what can you do, right? What can you do? We made a little bit of profit. It funded the film. At the end of the day, it funded the film. But yeah, I would have liked them to look a little bit more like the actors, but especially Brand's face. Ugh. What can you do though? One thing I also wanted to do, just because, why not? Before I take some questions, I know we've gone an hour already, but I wanted to go over some of the early criticisms we actually had for the film. There was that YouTube review that came out, I think, a couple weeks before the movie was even released, and they had seen it early through I think it was through the thing we were offering on our Indiegogo. But thanks for the support, by the way. But yeah, they saw the film and they had a few weird criticisms, and I'm not going to tell you that that his criticisms are wrong. I'm going to say that you should look at them from a different point of view, though. Maybe you'll agree with all of his criticisms. I don't know if you guys saw. I can't remember the channel name now. I think it was. I can't remember. I'm not going to look it up. But he did criticize mostly the writing of all things. He said it was the one thing that was below his expectations for a fan film. I mean, first off, I mean, if you didn't like the story you wrote, that's fine. That's your own opinion. Of course, my phone is ringing. Ugh. Sorry about that, guys. Why is my phone ringing when I'm in the middle of a live stream? My phone is my camera, guys. Oh, man. And it's not going to stop ringing. Sorry about this, everybody. There we go. It stopped. Thank God it stopped. Sorry about that. Anyways, first off, when you're criticizing the writing of a fan film, I mean, and I don't mean to be critical of any of the other fan films out there, but really a lot of them just copy the original story or aspects of it. So I mean that seems a little weird to say that our writing wasn't that the writing wasn't, you know, up to his standards for a fan film even. You know, I disagree, but I mean, at least we had different characters and quite a far different plot from the original. That's for sure. There's similarities, of course, but you know, he didn't like the characters, and that's fine. If you don't like the characters, you don't like the characters. And some people will like the characters, some people won't. I think, though, it's fair to say that I wrote a film with fairly fleshed out characters, at least for as far as the leads go. Yes, we do have secondary characters, and I'll get into that in a sec as well. But I mean, he was like, I don't really feel like I knew the lead characters. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I personally think the story there's an arc there with Jimmy's character. You know, there's an arc. You know, he's going through something pretty rough. You know, he's not quite his normal self, and it's about how he gets over that, and not only gets over that, he puts what he knows onto the other people around him. Actually, essentially the same people that helped him get over it, he helps them get over it. You know, he helps Gene get over it in the basement. Said, we can't think about like that. We got to just focus on getting out of here and all that stuff. When Gene's the one who was trying to get him over the death of his girlfriend. So when we've got that angle there, and then the same with Allison when they're tied up again, you know, he basically helping her because she's blaming herself for begging Lorraine to get out of the house. You know, she feels like she's got this guilt now. Lorraine's probably dead, and poor Lorraine, she wasn't dead at that point, but but poor Lorraine. Ooh, poor a lot of these characters. I know we didn't have a lot of gore, but I think some of the implied deaths were pretty gruesome, actually. But we'll talk about that in a bit too. But you know, I don't know. I really feel like I wrote pretty good characters as far as that goes. Now, as far as the other characters, the secondary characters, he basically made it out like they were just there to die, and that's not the case. That is not the case. There is quite a few characters. I mean, but at the same time, this is not a Friday the 13th movie where you're going to have like 50 kills, and they're just there to die. If I was going to do, you know. If I was going to do a Friday the 13th movie, that's, you know, what I'd do. But at the same time, I wrote all these different characters in more so as a statement on how do I word this? I want to word this correctly. Almost as a statement. They're all, you notice that the characters are all very different. These are not your stereotypical horror characters, horror victims. People get killed. We had a family of 4, and these young girls, and in the script, those girls were supposed to be even younger. It was hard for me to find talent young enough to do that, though, unfortunately. But they were supposed to be young, like 8, 9 years old. But we wanted to show different types of characters, in the sense to show that evil isn't biased. Tragedies happen to everybody. They don't just happen to young adults, sexy young adults. That's very stereotypical in horror movies. It's not biased. You hear these things on the news story. Family of 4 was murdered brutally, or whatever. Local person murdered unexpectedly. We hear stuff like that. So we had the local in there. We had the family of 4. We had the 2 travelers just going through on their way to San Angelo. So we had all these different types of people that they all have one thing in common, and that's that they're all very innocent. They all did not foresee this kind of thing coming upon them, and none of them deserve to die at the end of the day. But that's life. This is the news story, that terrible news story you see on CNN or whatever, right? That's what it's supposed to be. So that was really the reason why we had all these characters. So to really get that idea that this is, this evil has no bias, I see we got Gayla Connolly in the chat. Hey Gayla, how you doing? How are you doing? I'm so thankful to have been part of this. Oh, that's awesome, Gayla. Hope you got to see your picture in the movie. Hope you saw it anyways. I'm sure I've had a couple messages from people who missed their picture. One of them was Jill Tainter, who was Jimmy's dead girlfriend picture, and she missed it. I'm like, your picture's all by itself, and you missed it. Anyways, but that was the real reason behind having all the characters that we did. Yes, they're not super fleshed out, but you get a sense of who they are. I think you get a decent enough sense of who they all are. So I mean, that's all I can say. If you don't like the characters, that's fine. But to say that Jimmy and Allison and those characters were not fleshed out, I don't know. You guys tell me different in the chat if you think I should have fleshed out Jimmy and Allison more. I don't know. I think they're pretty fleshed out characters. Personally, as the writer, though, I am biased because I am the writer. He also had some exaggerations about some of the logistical things in the film. Now there are some logistical issues in the film. Leatherface takes out quite a lot of people in one sitting, sort of thing, which I can definitely see that, and that was again due to budget and being able to logistically shoot certain things in a certain way. But one of the things he had mentioned was the idea that how long the characters were waiting outside before finally going inside. Now, I'm not saying that you can't see it, but he was like, they must have been waiting hours and hours and hours. Well, I mean, if you watch the movie, there's 25 minutes that passes from the moment that Brant's car pulls up to the house to the moment that all the characters have entered the house, essentially entered the house, when Dixie and Henry and them go into the house, basically. 25 minutes pass on screen. Now, obviously, there is some passage of time, but when you really look at it, there isn't a lot. There's not a lot. The longest one probably being after Jimmy and Brant and Jean, Jimmy, Brant, and Jean get attacked by Leatherface. And, Brant gets his leg cut, and the others two run out, and we don't see what happens. We were supposed to see what happened to them, but again, time, stunts, that kind of stuff. it is what it is. It would have been nice to show it, but we couldn't. But yeah, there's maybe 10 minutes at the most, 10 minutes between that and when Jimmy wakes up. Jimmy and Brent wake up in the basement at the absolute most. So, I mean, realistically, at the most, there's 40 minutes from the time that Brent pulls up to the house to everybody goes in. 40 minutes. So I don't know why he's saying hours and hours and hours. That's just my answer to that. I don't see how, it's an exaggeration is basically what it is. Yeah, they're waiting out there for a bit. Sure. They are waiting out there for a good bit, but not hours and hours and hours. I'm not sure why you would have thought that. But yeah, maybe you thought there was more passage of time. Maybe that person thought there would be more passage of time between scenes. Because a lot of movies do that. They have, sometimes it takes between one scene and the next scene, it's like 10 hours, Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, But a lot of ours were close together. If you really watch it, you could believe that they're pretty much no time would have passed, So just a few of those things kind of bothered me about his review, but again, he's entitled to his opinion. I definitely didn't think he was a troll by any means. I hope we've had our share of trolls. But I questioned some of his review, the stuff he was criticizing. Again, he is open to his own opinion, but definitely not hours and hours. It's definitely exaggerated on that kind of stuff. And I'm pretty sure he probably didn't get a lot of the subtle stuff that we put in it. But hey, I mean, there has to be a little bit of suspension of disbelief. I mean, criticizing some of the logistical things like, why couldn't Jimmy and Gene get away after he cut Brandt, stuff like that, or take him down or whatever. Well, I mean, Leatherface is pretty big. he's got a hammer. They got nothing. I don't know. You would think that maybe there would be at least one opportunity where they could have got. Well, I don't know. They actually even got him. I don't know. There's a little bit of suspension of disbelief. We'll say that a little bit, but it's no more than say, why the hell didn't Laurie turn on the light when she went over to the Wallace house in the original Halloween? Why wouldn't you turn on the light? Of course, most people would turn, but she didn't. She didn't turn on the light. Why would you leave it dark? It's stuff like that, I mean, so, if you criticize my film for something like that, you're also criticizing films like Halloween, which are considered, one of the greatest horror films of all time. So, I mean, if you didn't like it, that's one thing. But if you don't like the characters, hey, that's all good. You don't have to like the characters. I mean, I love them because I wrote them. I got to that point where, like, I don't know if I want to see this kind of fate upon Allison or Jimmy, or, I don't want to see all these terrible things happen. You root for these characters. I felt like I was rooting for them, but maybe the rest of you hated them. You're like, oh, just make them meet for Leatherface. Anyways, I think that's enough of that. I just wanted to answer some of those criticisms. One more, because I gotta defend my actor, my Jimmy actor here, Jordan, a little bit here, because the same critic, he said in his review that Jimmy was very he didn't have much charisma, or he wasn't very, that Jimmy wasn't very good. He didn't like Jimmy. He didn't like the actor that played him. He thought this actor didn't have enough charisma, and it was very, kind of, I don't know, I can't remember exactly the words he used, but he basically criticized Jordan O'Neill. And my answer to that was, and it was because of lack of charisma, that he wasn't, a character you want to root for, I guess. I disagree with that, because Jimmy really kind of evolved, and I think he did show some charismatic moments. Even when he was at his lowest peak, he made some jokes here and there. I think they only hired good-looking guys for that. But, there was those moments. But, hey, if you think that doesn't have any charisma, sure, because he is in a down place. You know, the fact is the character is in a rough spot at this time, but you cannot criticize the actor for that. He just played the role well. You know, he actually played the role very, very well. Now, is he my absolute favorite actor in the movie? I mean, I don't know. I actually love all the acting in the movie, but to say he did a bad job, he played the character that was written. It was very similar. I don't know if any of you have seen Nocturnal Animals. A lot of people criticize Amy Adams for being so cold and stiff in her performance in that movie. But it was the character she was playing. She was playing a very cold, stiff person. And, you know, a lot of people hated her in that movie. And I'm like, no, she's awesome. Amy Adams was awesome in Nocturnal. Everybody was awesome in that movie. But I think it's funny how people criticize actors for being things like stiff or cold or mopey or whatever. But people got to remember that there's different. Not every person in the world is a happy person, happy, cheery person with lots of charisma. Not every person is that way. And so if you got a character in a movie that's gone through a big tragedy, you got to feel that tragedy. And I personally thought that Jordan O'Neill did an amazing job. He really was Jimmy. He really was. And I knew it from, when I auditioned Jordan O'Neill, it was between him and one other guy. And the other guy was really good. He showed a lot more dynamics in his performance, I would say, the other guy. But Jordan just had this sad look that made you feel the character. I chose Jordan because of the way he made me feel sad. I genuinely felt sad. I almost felt like he must have been sad. Like maybe he really was going through a rough time at that time. So even though it wasn't as dynamic as the other character, it wasn't really supposed to be. I realized that because part of me wanted to choose the other guy, but then I came back to Jordan and it might not have had as much dynamics as the other guy, but I really felt like this was somebody who is going through something. And I think that was important. And I think that that's why Jordan O'Neill did a great job in the part. Personally. What did you guys think? Now is the time I'm going to let you guys ask a few questions. I've rambled on here for long enough. I've talked about this and that and that and this and explained the ending for you, explained all the foreshadowing that happened throughout the film, explained all the Leatherface masks and how they give him the different personalities he's had. Hopefully that all sheds some light for you guys. Hopefully it helps you appreciate the movie more. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's the exact opposite. Maybe you actually hate the movie now. Maybe you liked it before and now you hate it. I don't know. Michelle Blasky, got a jet here. Hey, thanks for tuning in, though, Michelle. Probably gone now, but all good. Hey, it's our buddy Poopa Das, Newport Motion Vintage Films. Jordan and Nika gave an astounding performance in this film. It was truly believable and not at all over the top. I didn't feel anything was like over the top. Really, I didn't. Carlos from the Laser Reviewer. Nocturnal Animals is such an underrated film, and big part it is because of Adam's performance. Yeah, and hey, you know what? There's a lot of great performances. Jake Gyllenhaal was great in that movie. What's his name was up for Best Supporting Actor? Michael Shannon. They're all awesome. I mean, any one of them could have won an Academy Award. I don't think. Yeah, Michael Shannon didn't actually win. He probably should have won. Against the other nominees, I can't remember who it was that won that year, but probably should have won. Actually, John Goodman really should have won that year for 10 Cloverfield Lane, but he wasn't even nominated. I kind of rant about that because, John Goodman was awesome in that movie. Whether you liked the movie or not, I liked it. A lot of people hated the ending. I get why people didn't like the ending of that, but I liked the movie. And John Goodman was awesome. Yeah, just saying. John Goodman's never been nominated for an Oscar. Did you guys know that? Just saying. It doesn't make sense to me, though. When you look at what he's done, it doesn't make sense to me. But whatever. I'm never going to win an Oscar either, probably. I don't know. Maybe I will. You never know. Not for this movie, probably. But that's all good. Any questions? Let me just read some. I'll just keep reading your guys' shit. But if you guys have any questions, now is the time to ask them, just so you guys know anything about the movie. Have a great evening, Michelle. Okay. Steve, if Ed Neal played Rex, do you think he do as well as William Instone did? I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily as well, but it would have been probably it would have been a different interpretation. And I don't know if one would be better than the other. I don't like to speculate. I mean, Tom Selleck was originally cast to play Indiana Jones. Would he have been a better Indiana Jones than Harrison Ford? I don't know. It would have been a different Indiana Jones. But we got what we got. I mean, I think they both would have been great. One thing I don't know if I've ever said this on this before. I wrote the part not for Ed Neal, but a similar build. We'll say that a similar built actor. I don't want to say I wrote the part for this actor, but this character that he played was heavy on my radar when I was writing the character of Rex, and that was Robert Knepper from Prison Break. He played T-Bag in Prison Break. So if you guys are familiar with that show, I really wrote the character like that. I really wrote it, and after the script was done and everything, our casting director here in Kelowna that I worked with sent the script and offered him the role, and I think we offered him like $10,000 to play the role, to shoot for 3 days, I think. And he turned it down, of course. $10,000 is peanuts for him. But, you made an offer and you tried. But that's really what I was seeing for the character. William Instone looks nothing like Robert Knepper. Nothing like, lanky kind of guy. That's what we were really going for. Slimy, right? Really slimy. But at the same time has the ability to be charming, when he needs to be. William Instone still played the role very, very well, and I love what he did. But I mean, as far as the way he looked nothing like what I saw for the character. But that's cool. I mean, sometimes you see somebody totally different, and hey, it worked. What works. Age-wise, he was more or less there. I probably wanted somebody a little bit older than William, but not much. You could still believe he's the eldest in the family at that point. So you could believe he's older than Bill Housekeeper, who played Drayton. Not by much, but a little bit, probably. I'm not sure who is actually older between the two. I know they're both around their mid-40s. So. Stephen Chang, if you made a sequel, I could see Lexi possibly be Sally's mom. Ooh. Just to make a connection. Lexi's character is dead. Died in our film. But maybe Lexi would play Sally's mom, like still be in the movie. I don't know. But we killed her character. That was a sad moment. You are talking about Lexi Graves, right? Just want to make sure. Lexi Graves got killed with a chainsaw with her younger sister, played by Avery Berry, right in front of their mother. I personally, that's one of my favorite. Whoops, sorry guys. Ugh, that was no phone call that time. That was me, Mr. Butterfingers tonight. Now I'm losing everything. Sorry guys. How's that for a live stream, huh? I get it. I'm not very centered though. I'm gonna have to change that a little bit. Whatever. Good enough. There we go. But yeah, she died. Anyways, going back to your Prison Break, there you go. Sawyer Massacre Part 2, any possibility? There's always a possibility, guys. William R. Instone really gave his all to this role. His performance was slightly disturbing and more chilling. Yeah, always a possibility, but I mean, I think it's probably a higher possibility that it wouldn't come from me. It definitely wouldn't come from me right away. But I would never throw it out of the realm of possibility. I don't know. It's yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a possibility, but don't give up. Don't hold it as a don't expect it to come within the next couple years or so. We'll say that. Unless somebody else does it. If there's a filmmaker out there, if there's another filmmaker out there that wants to make a sequel to the Sawyer Massacre, let's see it. Next one here. Stephen Chang, no Lao. I forgot her name. The one at the end. Okay. Nika Lo. It's pronounced Lao, or spelt like Lao, and I thought it was Lu for the longest time, but it's actually Lo. I feel weird now. That she is Sally's mother. I see. Well, there's only 8 years between this one and the original, though, so the time wouldn't match up. You know what I mean? Our film was 65. You know, Sally would be born already, so I don't think it lines up that way, unless you believe that Allison had at some point had a kid when she was 7. I don't think people would. I mean, I don't know what the world record is for youngest mother. I should look that up. You know, but 7-year-old mom, maybe even younger. Like, yeah, I don't know, because we're implying that Allison's 18. She just graduated high school and is going to travel the world. 18, so she's 11 years earlier. 11 plus 8, so is Sally even 19 years old? I don't know. You could almost believe that Allison and Sally are close to the same age. Movie fan, did Leatherface kill the electric worker in the actual script, or did he not get killed at all? I'm glad you actually brought that up, because I wanted to kind of bring him up again. He was kind of a tie to he was kind of the tie to bridge the gap of this Brackett character that we don't really know a lot about. And he's implied that it's the guy in the opening scene, like I mentioned, but the electrical worker is really just there to provide some subtle context about what was going on. So at the beginning, this Brackett character is holding a document. If we think it's Brackett, again, we don't know for sure, but we're implying that it's Brackett. And you see he's holding a white document. And we'll also see that white document. It's supposed to be the same one crumpled up on the ground that Allison finds later after the two girls hurt. The one girl, Shirley, hurts herself, played by Lexi. That's Lexi. After she hurts herself, she finds that piece of paper all crumpled up. We were actually supposed to see what that paper was at that point, and it was supposed to be a power disconnection notice. So Brackett was planning on cutting off all power to the farmhouse because he actually thought Grandpa's probably dead and nobody else is there. That was his thinking. He didn't realize that there was actually people there. So he's cutting it off, and he told Rex. I guess the idea was he probably told Rex that he's cutting off the power, and Rex probably told him to go give the notice to Grandpa at the house. So again, it's not in the script, but that was the idea. So you see this electrician rerouting power, because he had already rerouted power only. He had already cut off the power to Grandpa's house. They had already cut off the power to Grandpa's house, and now Rex is he's kind of a mastermind, this Rex character. Again, it's not in the script, but that was the idea behind it. Rex had called the electric company to reroute power from Brackett's farmhouse to Grandpa's house, so they would have power again. You didn't need electricity to live, although the house we shot in did not have electricity. Although I have shot in an abandoned house that still had electricity before, for First Annual Barbecue, actually, when the first fan film I did. So there's a little bit of a mystique there, but that was the implication. That was what we were going for. Again, very subtle, and if people don't pick up on it, which nobody really will, it's not entirely needed. We put that in because I thought it added a new layer. At the end of the day, the plot to this film is fairly simple, but there's these subtle layers, that make it. There's all these mysterious layers. What does this mean? What does that mean? And you can fill in the gaps, or you can make your own theories. And I think that's what I liked about it. I didn't want to make a plot that was really, really convoluted. It was just have a simple plot, but add some cool layers to it. Some mystique, if you know what I mean. So, but that's all there really is to the electrician. He doesn't get killed, but he's warned. maybe in a sequel he would get killed. Maybe he would be a good person to go on in a sequel. I don't know, or maybe Brant's uncle. I think Bobby High. Bobby High and I actually were chatting the other night. Just over Facebook Messenger, and he's like, because his picture's on the table, and his name is mentioned as Bobby High as the mechanic, so maybe they're the same person. You never know, right? Maybe Brant's uncle is Bobby High. Built something around that character. There's lots of cool things you can do. There's definitely a possible sequel. Again, there's 8-year gap between this one and the original. There's nothing saying there couldn't be another film. I just don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know. New promotion, vintage film. Will Scotty return as Leatherface in some other TCM feature-length fan film, or will he return only in the Sawyer Massacre? I would personally like that more. You'd have to speak for Scotty. I mean, if another fan filmmaker wants to hire him as Leatherface, they might want to. I don't know. Again, I don't have plans. I don't have plans to do another a sequel to this movie. I'm never going to say never, but Scotty's getting up. He's 40 now, and he's playing a younger Leatherface in our movie, and there were times when I think it was just too much for him, and there are times, if there's anything critical I could give on Scotty's performances, he's a little slow sometimes. I wanted him to be a little faster, a little more limber. Again, he had a hard role to pull off. I mean, it was really, really tough for him. It would have been tough for anybody doing what he had to do. But there are times when I wish he was moving faster. That's okay. It is what it is. But he still did a great job, and I think a lot of people really like what he did with the character. I think a lot of people love his tantrum at the end. I think that is probably his best moment, really, in the film. That tantrum he did. It's kind of our ode to the chainsaw dance, but obviously it's quite a bit different. But it's the same kind of principle, though. Leatherface is pretty pissed off until there's a chance. Movie fan says the short version of First Annual Barbecue was good. Even you were, I made a cameo in the short version. The longer version doesn't have me in it. Oh God, I forgot about that actually. But yeah, that is me in it. But I am going to post the longer version on YouTube fairly soon, so you guys can see that as well, because I do have it. And you guys can see some of the similarities. Here, OCD. I see Leatherface hanging like that. I'm like, that's okay. Got to get another push pin and just pin it right there. That'll look better. Anyways, where was I? Answering your guys' questions. Would love the would have loved a cameo by you. I don't know. Like, I did make that cameo in First Annual Barbecue. But I'm not. I have directed a film that I also starred in, and that was the hardest thing I ever did. I'm not saying I'll never do a cameo again, but I don't really particularly like doing cameos in my films. Call it a weird thing. I don't really like seeing myself in my own film. So, at least with the one that I was more or less a star in, at least you didn't really see me much. Yeah. Anyways, it is a little weird. They never had a "Get your camping supplies here" sign. Yeah, that's actually would have been a cool thing. You know, I would have liked to put some signs up all around the property. You know, saying "Get this here, blah blah blah." I don't know. That would have been a cool touch, but you know, budget again. I mean, another thing we actually wanted lots of signs made. And budget just wasn't budget and time. I actually blame it more on time than budget, because we actually had the means to make signs. It was just, man, we were so pressed for time. We wanted the protesters at the end to be holding these big protest signs. Not at the end, at the beginning. Sorry, during that news. The only real footage in there that was not stock footage, that was actual footage that we shot, was those protesters for the protest in Dallas or whatever. So it made sense, because you want to have something in Texas for that. And so if there was going to be something in Texas, we were going to shoot it ourselves, because we were in Texas. So we shot those protesters, and that was the only non-authentic, I guess you would say, to the time period. All those other stuff you saw in that opening over the news brief thing there, over the news radio thing, was stock footage from 1965, other than that one little bit that we had of the protesters. And by the way, what they were saying, those protesters, in case you couldn't make it out, they were saying, hey, LBJ, how many kids you killed today? That was a popular protest chant at that time, because of all the young kids he was sending over to Vietnam to be basically killed for nothing. That's what we were having our protesters say, because it was popular. It was it's unpopular, because it was an unpopular war, obviously. Let's see here, movie fan. When Rex had that bag, handed them the meat. What was in the bag? Was it real food? I believe I can't remember for sure, but I think it was beef jerky. I think it was actual beef jerky. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure it was beef jerky. I can't remember where we got the beef jerky, but somebody probably made a run to the store. Like we weren't like too far from civilization where we were. It was a good spot. That was all in Bartlett, Texas. Bartlett, Texas is a really, really cool town, by the way. If none of you guys have been to Bartlett, Texas, very, very cool, very old, very, they haven't torn down any old buildings. You know, these buildings look at least 100 years old, if not more. And the streets even are all like the authentic. It's really cool. So Bartlett was a really cool town to film at. Looked like beef jerky to me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Pretty sure. Not 100%. Anyways, folks, we're coming up an hour and 40 minutes. The protesters was the best scene. Aaron Johnson was actually one of those protesters. He remembers that. That was right in Bartlett. That was like right in the heart of Bartlett. I think it was right at City Hall. That was awesome. But yeah, a lot of fun. There's a short movie coming out Friday tomorrow. Yeah, my special boy. Yeah, I should mention that. Because I'm actually good buddies with those guys, Braden Timmons and James Grimm. James Grimm actually is one of our associate producers on our film. So really excited to see their film. I'm not sure exactly how long it's. I don't think it's a short movie. I think it's like close to an hour long, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, somewhere in there. So yeah, it's not short from what I've heard anyways, but I don't know exactly. We'll find out how long it is. But yeah, that's coming out tomorrow. So head on over. I believe it'll be on James Grimm's channel. Go there. It comes out tomorrow. And check out My Special Boy, especially if you are a Friday the 13th fan. I know that My Special Boy was supposed to have a lot of... originally it was supposed to have a lot of the Sackhead Jason. I believe there's still a little bit in there. I was like really into the Sackhead Jason, so I was geeking out over that when they were first announcing it. But I guess there's not as much as they were originally going to have, which is kind of too bad. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm still going to watch it, of course. But I'm a bigger fan of Sackhead Jason than I am Hockey Mask Jason. I just am. But anyways, it should be a good movie. I look forward to it. I bet it's going to be awesome. Stephen Chang would love to see abandoned and possibly stripped cars when they were escaping at the end. That was part of the plan too, but at the same time, budget. There was supposed to be abandoned cars in that, of all the people that have come, but we only had so much cars to work with. So, I mean, you could imply that Rex and Drayton were shuttling cars back and forth to the actual Sawyer property, because, that's where we see a lot of those stripped cars in the original, right? Or at the Sawyer homestead. You got to remember, Grandpa's house is not the same as the Sawyer homestead. I want you guys to make sure you guys understand that. Grandpa's house is a totally different place, and it's like on the verge of being not livable anymore, and which would make sense why Grandpa's not living there anymore in the original, and who knows whatever really becomes of Grandpa's place. Maybe Rex is there. Maybe Rex is there taking care of Leatherface's kid. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, there's so many possibilities. Is Rex alive? Is Rex dead? Who knows? But yeah, that was something we kind of wanted, though. We wanted to have all the vehicles of all the people that drove up to that house and stuff like that. But only so much we could do. Where were we here? Yeah, we saw that. Aaron Johnson saw a really good short F-13 fan film called Across the Lake the other night. I haven't seen that one. Across the Lake. Huh. I might have to check it out. Again, I'm not the biggest Friday the 13th fan. I was digging the idea of My Special Boy, mostly because of Sackhead Jason. But I still enjoy watching the Friday the 13th. It's just not my favorite franchise. That's not my favorite. Sorry, guys. A stupid cough kills me. Grandpa was creepy as hell. Grandpa was, I had John Dugan voice Grandpa in our promo stuff, but we knew we couldn't get John Dugan to actually play him. It would have been cool, but man, Les Best. I'm just saying, we got pretty damn lucky with Les Best, and I believe we actually got Les Best. He was like the last person cast in the film. Yeah, and we got him, I think, through William Instone, who played Rex. They knew each other. Les Best was best. Les Best was best to play Grandpa. It would have been cool to see John Dugan actually play Grandpa and actually get to speak as Grandpa for the first time. But you still got that in our promo trailers. you got a little bit of that. But I do really like the way Les played the character. I think he was great. I really do. I like how we never got a real good look. That was mostly because we didn't have makeup to put on. We wanted to make him look really, really old. We still showed his mouth, and I don't know, maybe we shouldn't have. Because, Grandpa's still supposed to be over 100 years old at this point. But, the first 2 days we actually didn't even have our makeup, our special effects makeup artist on set. He was in Puerto Rico, so we couldn't. The last day we could have possibly put some makeup on him, but we had to do Briley's as Gene. We had to do his jaw prosthetic, and that was like a 4-hour job. So it's just the time management wouldn't have worked. Hey, there's our buddy Peter Anthony. Congrats again. Thanks, Peter. Thank you so much it feels good to be. I don't know if you got to see much of this. I was going in depth explaining a lot of the subtle context of what does this mean and what does this mean, that kind of thing. What does the ending mean and blah blah blah, and a lot of that cool stuff. But yeah, thanks for popping in there, Peter. And check out this video if you do want to know some of the. Check this out on the replay if you do want to know some of the subtle context behind the film, like the ending and all the foreshadowing we did to the ending, and the Leatherface masks and how they give him different personalities. I went into a lot of explanation on that in the film. So there you go. Thank you guys so much. I'll go back and watch 100%. Been traveling. Yeah, I think you told me you've been doing some traveling. I want to do some traveling again. I'm gonna have to go to some cons, man. After that, but I want to do cons, but I also want to get started on my next film too. It's funny, eh? I want to keep doing this stuff, but when do you find time to do it all? Gayla calling it. Steve, is it still available to watch on YouTube? If so, how long will it be up for? I mean, it'll be up for as long as it is still available to watch on YouTube. It'll be up for as long as I can have it on there, as long as YouTube exists, hopefully. Because fan films, we can't actually, we can't put it on a paid streaming service. There are some streaming services you can't put it on, and maybe that's something I should talk to Peter about, because I'm sure he knows where we can have this kind of stuff and not have this kind of stuff. Oh, there's our spam. Don't you love the spam? Ugh. Stupid spam. Whatever. Oh, man. What can you do, eh? I thought I was going to get away without having the spam tonight, but I have it. It's all good. Now I don't know what you got. Thanks, Steve, from Gala. Yeah. Talking to each other. All good. I see Sawyer Massacre doing well on Tubi TV. Yeah, I'm just curious on whether that's something I can do and not as a paid thing or not. I don't know. I'd have to research that a little bit. Maybe Peter knows. Maybe Peter knows. I'd like to put it on some other streaming platforms, but not sure which ones I'm allowed to at this point. I know YouTube is, and Vimeo. I don't have a Vimeo account though, so Canton too. It is a paid channel. From what it's funny, but you can download Tubi for free though. But I don't know. But I know they have the ads though, right? So damn it. Whatever. I had a feeling that you couldn't, but Tubi would be good. Yeah, I know. Hey. It's a fan film. If it has to stay on YouTube, I'm sure there are some free streaming services out there that it can also go on, but really is anything better than YouTube at the end of the day? I don't know. Same drink. I can see it doing excellent on yeah. I know it would do excellent on Tubi, but you can't do it. Maybe Amazon Prime? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure you gotta pay for Amazon Prime. I'd be shocked. I mean, they would probably love it, but Voodoo might work. I'll look into all avenues. I'll look. I would love to look into all avenues, because I mean, at the end of the day, guys, I just want a lot of people to see our film. I whether it be on YouTube or Tubi or Voodoo or Shudder or whatever I can get it on, wherever it's going to be seen as much as possible. That is what is going to make me happy. I am happy with that. We've had a fair amount of views already on YouTube. It could be more though. But I'm a relatively small channel. So I mean, I just passed the 2,000 subscriber mark yesterday or something, right? Yeah, I think yesterday. So that's really, really cool. I mean, it's the last week or so, my subscriber count has really upped, and the views on our film is faster than any other video on my channel. None of my other videos on my channel passed 10,000 views in 5 days. In fact, I think most of them it took like like months to hit 10,000 views. Again, smaller channel, guys, smaller channel. And you know, and that's because I'm not really putting a lot into growing this channel. I'm just doing it. I'm doing this channel mostly for fun. I know it'd be nice to get it to grow, and if there's good avenues to get it to grow, get more subscribers, I'll look into that, because at the end of the day, I don't want it to grow just so I have a big channel and all that kind of stuff. I want it to grow simply so more people are seeing our film, because I'm proud of our film. It's not perfect, again, you know, and I will do a live stream on its imperfections, and you'll get to hear about what I was really going for and what we really did not execute well on and all that kind of stuff. I will still contrast that with a lot of the stuff that I really love about our film. But you know, I've done the same with other films. So I mean, if I can dish it out to other films, I can dish it out to my own film. You know, so but keep this in mind. Even though I might tear tear the Sawyer Massacre a new asshole, I still love my film. I still love this film, our film, not my film. It's our film. Because we made this together. Pretty much everybody in the chat was a part of it in some way, I believe. So thank you all. It's our film. Remember that. But at the same time, it's not perfect. And a film made for under $30,000 isn't going to be perfect. No film is perfect anyways. But, you know, there are a few little flaws. And I will do that probably on the next video I do. Whenever that is. I don't know when it'll be. I'm a busy dude these days. In fact, I got to get going because it's my son's bedtime. And got to get the little guy to sleep. So thank you guys all for tuning in. You guys are really, really awesome. I know you guys, I would like to read the rest of your chats, but really got to tie this up. It's been a good chat. And I'll keep you guys posted, and keep sharing the Sawyer Massacre. Share it, get it out there as much as you can, and we'll see you when we hit 20,000 views, which I don't think will be that long. I don't think it'll be too long until we hit 20,000 views. All right, guys. You guys are awesome. You guys have yourselves a good night.